The sun is down, the lights are bright.
Welcome to another edition of Football Fix. Coaches kicking it to the max. Kyle Maxfield here, a.k.a. Spot On Max. I've got legend, locker room legend, Weldon Nelms and the T-Mac. The T-Mac today. Coach, I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Pleasure.
I couldn't have had better timing, y'all, because Coach Nelms, Weldon Nelms, is being inducted into the Texas High School Coaches Hall of Honor. Did I say that right?
That's correct.
Class of 2026, Coach.
26, yes.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Very well deserved.
I don't know about that, but very lucky, very blessed, and really a big shock for this old guy. So, but very big honor, and looking at it, all these guys that I'm following that are tremendous guys, and then lots of them out there right now like yourself that do an outstanding job, and nothing better than Texas High School Coach Association and the Texas High School coaches.
Amen to that.
Awesome.
Amen to that. Matter of fact, Coach was just on his way up from San Marcos. Y'all did some prep for the ceremony this summer at Coach's School?
That's correct. We just finished up interviews and had Coach Warren and Coach Smith came in, and guys that worked with me for a good while, and then I finished my interview, and so now it's all getting all the family and all the friends and everybody on July the 18th coming to Houston and see that induction. That's going to be a emotional but a great time. I can't hardly wait.
That's Coach, as far as Texas high school football coaches, that's the pinnacle, man.
Yeah, it's something I can remember when I was a little kid writing in a Big Chief tablet all the things that I thought I wanted to be this coach that, I always dreamed of replacing Tom Landry. Wow, what a big, never would ever get close to that. But I put that on that deal. I look back on that 200 wins, win a state championship, get to coach an all-star game, and get inducted to the Texas High School Hall of Honor. And that,
wow,
I never, ever would have, that was a dream, a big dream. And the good Lord's blessed me, and I was surrounded by a lot of great kids, a lot of great coaches, and a lot of great school districts that gave me the opportunity, trust me. And wow. And
Coach,
just look at that. I can't hardly believe it.
What you stated right there, how old were you when you wrote, you remember? When you wrote on the Big Chief?
I wrote on the Big Chief probably when I was about 19 years old. I thought, what do you want to do with your life, the teacher? And back then they had them big old jumbo pencils and a Big Chief tablet. And,
you sound like Mel Maxfield I think he was more like in college when he was.
Yes, and I go in there, and I think it was an English 3 class or whatever, and I go in New Mexico military, and the guy asked, what do you want to do? What is your dream? And shoot, I just popped all this stuff off. And other than, of course, the ultimate saying I was going to replace Tom Landry, the Dallas Cowboys, I would never, ever, that was an impossible. But the others, actually, when I looked at that list going back through after I sat down and wrote that article and handed in that teacher, I got it back and I looked and I said, whew, that's not going to happen. But, man, that'd be a great life. And wow,
Coach, you did it.
I just
you still doing it.
Still trying to be I think that's the thing. I think that everybody wants to be a difference maker in life, and I think sometimes you got to be a difference taker. I think that everybody, all coaches, and of course in any profession, you want to be a difference maker. You want to be that guy that gets that next job, moves something, or becomes attached to some legacy that you feel a part of. And I think coaching it's a calling. It's not a job. It's a calling.
Absolutely.
I believe it's all that way. And then what you do with the people, it's all about relationships. From there, the relationships you have with your coaches, with your kids, with your community, with your school, those relations build what it's all about. And then what you gain out of that approach is set by your everyday. You can't just talk the game. You got to live the game, and they got to see you live it. And all of us have went through ups and downs, good times, bad times. In this profession, you can have those days where you can't win a game. You can't seem to win the kids over. You have.
I've been there a lot more than you, Coach.
Yeah, well, it's a part of life, and You know, do you let it control you, or do you control what you can control? And that's a hard thing as a young guy or an older guy when things don't go to the pursuit that you're up against. A challenge is only as good as you make it. If you say, I'm giving into it, then and I think that's the thing about coaching. You teach kids every single week, you got a challenge. You don't go in and know, even though there's times you know you're going to get your butt kicked. You know that you don't match up. It just don't match up. But you don't go out there and deliver that message to the kids. You go deliver a message that, hey, we got to do this, this, and this, and we are going to, we at least we're going to prepare to win. We may not win every week, but we're going to prepare to win, and then we take it serious. And I think that's where sometimes it seems like in some businesses and some trades and some parts of the life, in my humble opinion, is that people don't take it that way. They look at a defeatist attitude or I can't overcome this, and it depends on what you want to do. But it starts from you, and then it spreads. And I think that's why I've always said not only a difference maker but a difference taker. You take that dare, you take that chance, and what you do with it is up to you. And I think that's just a little, I don't know, a little tidbit or whatever that I think that's delivered a message to me when I think times are tough or I think I want to feel sorry for myself. I have to come back and go back to the roots. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And how are you going to do it? And I think that's something that's been a driving factor, and fortunately having some of the success, but mostly because I was surrounded by great coaches, great kids, and great people, because that's what you want to do. You don't want to hang around people that are not motivated or accept mediocrity. I don't think that's acceptable.
Loser mentality out the door. Coach, speaking the truth, I think it's very evident to our listeners already and viewers that there's a reason you're in the Hall of Fame. You're speaking the truth. I'm about ready to strap it on and run through that wall over there, Coach. Very motivational. And the why. So part of our football fix, we want to unlock success. We want the keys to unlocking success. And you just spoke the truth. I think everyone, either young, middle-aged, or old, can benefit from the wisdom you just spoke about coaching and just impacting kids and how to stay positive when what do they say, when the deck's against you?
Yeah.
The cards.
Yeah, those cards don't fall. You either fold or you battle. And,
yes, sir.
You see character of kids, you see character of coaches, you see a character of the people that you live with or support, and you got to find out how they're going to fall when that deck. It's easy. Anybody can do it when it's good.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves a winner, and everybody loves when things are hunky-dory. I think that the true test, and I think it's like I was fortunate enough to go to New Mexico military as a freshman and sophomore and out of high school into college. And as we prepared for a lot of the military training, that was one of the things they wanted to see. Who did you want in that foxhole with you?
Yeah.
Because you don't want somebody's going to give up.
Right.
And if somebody's going to fold them, and that old song of Charlie Rich, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. But you know what? Life is going to deal you out some of those things, and you got to learn who's going to stay in that foxhole and fight. And those kids, when you found out those kids and you put them through certain things in the off season, in season, or with the quest as you set it up, you wanted to try to find out when it's 4th and 1. If you're on defense, you got those 11 guys out there, they're going to make that stop. Or you got 11 guys who are going to put it in the end zone. And you learn, or you should, in my opinion, my humble opinion, and was taught that from coaches that I was surrounded by, you better have your best 11, not your 11 best when you got out there in that situation.
Truth.
And I think that's something that parallels to the game of life.
Yes.
When you come down to it, you want to have somebody that you know in that foxhole is going to fight with you, not against you.
So, my high school coach, Royce McAdams,
very well.
He was talking about that. So my senior year, we were fortunate to play for it. We didn't win it like you have twice at WImberley. But, Coach, our biggest goal in district was not to get scored on. And so the last district game, we were in Happy, Texas, with the coach that was there. He was there forever. I'll think of his name later. But They got inside the 10 and got a first. So they had 8 plays inside the 10, and we locked them out.
Yeah.
You talk about foxhole
And that's
having your back.
Yeah, yes.
It wasn't one guy. It was 11 guys.
11 guys, and everybody on that sideline too believing that it's going to be done. Nobody doubting. You weren't grabbing for cross your fingers, cross your legs. It's a belief, and that's what when you prepare kids and when you prepare coaches, you all got to be on the same schedule, and that's something that you got to have. If you're always looking for a diamond in the rough, that happens once out of
right.
And I've heard coaches talk about this, so that you play a 10-game schedule and you're going to outcoach maybe one guy.
Yeah.
Out of those 10. The rest of the time, you better prepare, and you better have the situations that's going to happen, and whether it's overtime, whether it's a punt, whether it's whatever it may be. And I remember in the older times when I first started out, you even had to, in fact, take into consideration first downs, penetrations, and those things in case of a tie. Yeah. And that, that isn't even in modern day football. That doesn't, you got your true overtime. So back in those days, you prepared your staff, you prepared your kid for what if. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't do it and you got into a situation, you could see the panic, not only in your coaching staff, you could see it with the kids.
Yes.
And I think that was something that I was taught by some great coaches in my earlier career.
Lewis Kelly,
Clem Mancini. Those guys, you practiced 2-minute offense. You didn't just say, hey, if we do this, we did this. And we sat out on Thursdays. The last thing we've always said, the coach said, we got to put the hay in the barn. We talk about, all right, we got the ball on the 5-yard line. They throw the ball in the end zone, the ball, and you can intercept it. What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, the best thing is that you intercept and down it. You get the ball at the 20. If they're at the 22, you don't catch it in the end zone. You knock it down.
Yeah.
Those kind of things, are contrary, 2 yards and an inch, are things that might be the difference in the ball game. And those were things that I think as an early coach, because of mentors and good people that I was surrounded by, taught me you don't surpass those.
Yeah.
I've seen coaches throughout my career that and not badmouthing anybody and maybe situation, but they didn't prepare their team for kicking situations. It's they don't have a hands team set up they don't have an onside kick that they know that their kid can perform and gives them a chance to get the football back. Everybody knows it's probably 30% success rate, but you still got to prepare for it. And I think that's something about that.
Grant Taft said in a lecture I was listening to him back when I first got into coaching, he said, you got to have a game plan for a game like a bank robber. He said, you got to have a plan A to rob the bank, a backup plan, and then a backup to the backup plan.
Absolutely.
That always stuck with me.
Yeah, and I thought about that, and one of the things that always stuck to me is watching Gunsmoke. I love Gunsmoke. And Doc always had that bag, and always in that bag he had a fix, and that's what I always talked about, that, we got something for everything. Sometimes that fix wasn't it was temporary, but you had to have something in that bag, and I think that's something that going back to Coach Grant Taffy told me one time when I asked him what was the most important thing, and he says, I can tell you this motto: every way, every day, every play, that's the Bear way. And if you did everything every way, every day, every play, and you did it your way, and your kids believe in their way, you had a chance to be successful. And that's something that he was a great mentor to me, and then just a little saying that stuck with me the rest of my career.
That sounds very similar. I can't quote Coach Signetti. Hope I said that right. At Indiana.
Yes, sir.
His motto was very similar to that.
Yes, I think it was much on that line. I had some different his particular way of saying it, but the belief factor of how you do that with your kids and how he did that, which is to me I have all the respect in the world for what he did for a school that notably in the early times Indiana was known as a basketball school.
Yeah,
and
a doormat football.
And they just was everybody's whooping child in the Big Ten. And now look at them. Again, that goes back to that faith and overcome and what you believe in. And, the guy that took that job and everybody laughed, and look what he did. I mean, that's amazing in itself, I think.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to work backwards a little bit. Man, I can't thank you enough for being here because this is gold to me. But the first time I've known Weldon, we both West Texas guys. Well, when I say West Texas, I'm talking about you eat sand with your cereal for breakfast.
Yes, sir. Red dirt in your teeth, and you learn that. Why do you think I wobble? Because I had to battle that wind all the time. No, that's not true. But you learn to live in that culture, and out there, no trees, no water, and
that's it.
It's probably the thing about farming is big. Well, the reason we're so neighborly because everybody farmed their neighbors' sand from year to year because that crop blew over, and back there. So great people and great times.
I wouldn't change that for anything.
No.
Sudan, Texas, Lamb County here, Plains, Texas. What county is that?
Yoakum County.
Yoakum
County.
One of the best golf courses back in the day.
Yeah, it's
Yoakum,
nice.
Yoakum County. They got some pump jacks around there.
Yeah.
Got some farm. All of my family was cotton farmers. Got some few peanuts, all that stuff. Anyway, 2004, I think, was when you were the director of the South All-Star team, and Levy was the North. Is that right?
Yeah, we were all, yes, he was the North, I was the South of the
All-Star selection
committee, and we got to stay there for a week, and all of us were together, and then, of course, we went practice, and I went with Coach Outlaw, and I think you went with
Coach Dodge.
Coach Dodge.
Coach, I was in high cotton.
Those guys were remarkable coaches, and two separate type of mindsets, but two very good coaches that knew how to do things, and a young guy, and then Kyle was younger, but Kyle had played at A&M and played in great, and I played in a little Western New Mexico and came from a little small, but I also saw the blend, and we played. We were in Houston, of all places, and it was 110 degrees and hot. But the week we had together of all of us coaches and from different parts of the state of Texas, seeing these all-stars, seeing these coaches, and seeing each other and enjoying just who we were, what we were about, and sharing was it was the first time for me to be around so many great men who were football coaches. I've been around a bunch of them, but never that many at one time. I basically was Coach Dodge's manager, personal manager. You need a towel, you need some water. Yeah. And I was bouncing around, but my roommate for that week, Coach, was the one and only Johnny Taylor. Yeah. Another Hall of Famer. That's great.
Do you remember your roommate?
I don't remember. Yes, who was with me? I can't think. Oh, man.
Johnny, he'd throw pillows at me at night because I was snoring.
I got to go back and think about that. But I think actually I had another coach that's supposed to be in with me, and he didn't. So I think I ended up in a single room, but we were all together off and on. And it was just seeing Coach, I know Bob Wager was there from Grove.
That's when I met Bob.
And then, what is he? He goes, and now he's at TCU, great mindset, a totally different thing, awesome. But all those guys, the sharing, and of course, you look at Honeycutt, he's the funniest guy, but probably one of the smartest guys you'll ever be around, and a legend in the coaching, and all of those guys. And then, of course, like you said, Coach Todd Dodge, and
I was just beginning Coach for him in a way.
Those guys were incredible, and just in a short time of fixing in an all-star how they established. And that I took because I was lucky enough to get to coaching them in 2006, and I saw that. And so I think everything that you were able to take in and put in a book or a binder in your mind or whatever, getting to see that when I went to Weatherford, getting to see your teams come in and play in the playoffs. Yeah. Again, a close relation, a friend, but also somebody that did things a little different and got to see that and see the perspective, seeing you come out of the locker room, seeing how your kids perform, behave, and then going to Bangs and getting to start a track meet when you were down there. Those were special times. Like our friendship grew over the time.
Yes, sir.
Seeing you, and like you said, you went through just like all of us did, some tough times where you questioned as far as your knowledge, your integrity, and all of this. But the greatest thing that I found about that, we were all the same. I wasn't any smarter or any better. I was just one of the guys, and I was the same. When a guy that happened, I could hear people sometimes, well, they weren't. I said, you don't know. They were great people.
You don't
they did
know.
it the right way. It just didn't, and then the good Lord has a way of moving us around and putting us in places.
Yes, sir.
And just like being here today, who would ever thought I'd be coming from San Marcos and stopping here talking to you? So it's a privilege and an honor, and our friendship means the world to me, a lot more than any of these honors that I'm talking about. The camaraderie you have with coaches and learning and laughing and doing probably some things I wouldn't say that some people would be proud of, but we had fun.
Right.
We did it our way. We did it the right way. And I encourage you young coaches that maybe listen to this, do it your way. But there's a lot of knowledge out there from a lot of these older coaches that can share with you. And I was blessed way beyond belief of how I got to do that with so many.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a good host. I didn't want to bring up the final score of the All-Star game, but I think the North was on top. I think.
Yes, the North beat us that year. I had to get redemption when I got to coach.
What year was that, Coach?
We was in 2007. I got to coach it, and
got that W.
We got that W, and we put that shutout too. And so
was it in the Alamo Dome?
It was at TCU. We played at Fort Worth, and
Amon Carter.
Amon Carter.
There you go.
And it was a great time. And of course, we had one of the guys that played for us was a kid named Earl Thomas that was an all-pro for the Seattle Seahawks.
UT, right? Longhorn?
Yeah, he went to UT, and the Curly kid that played at TCU and then went on and played for the New York Jets, and then the kid that came from Sweeney, who we picked up, he wasn't even on our original roster. He goes on and makes All-American at TCU and then goes on and plays for the Jaguars. And then there were several good kids that played, and getting to see those relationships also another great thing.
You answered my question before I could even ask it. Who were some of the players that stood out? When we coached the North team, we had Graham Harrell and Red Beaumont.
Yeah.
And so we had a little advantage of the guy taking the snap.
Those guys were really special, and, of course, their careers also led to that. So let's talk about your coaching stops. Being from Plains, correct me if I'm wrong, but your first head job was Spring Lake Earth? That's correct.
The Wolverines.
The mean green Wolverines. Yes, I out there right in between cotton and cornfields and living out in Teachridge out there that just walked across the school. It was 24/7, and we weren't overly talented. The first year I went there, I was the defensive coordinator and head track coach, and we went 10-0. And the first 10-0, I don't know, maybe it might have been in the school history.
I believe
I'm not
that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we played Shallow Water in the preseason. We play them in the first round of the playoffs, and I'll never forget it. We fumbled the ball 8 times inside the 20 going in, and we get beat 9-6.
Oh.
And it was a heartbreaker, but it also those kids have remained, and one of the best kids on that team was a big lineman that went on and played at West Texas State, and he passed away. And the last 3 weeks of his life, he called me every day, and we talked every day. And, as emotional as it was, but at least when he passed, I knew that the last word, Coach, thank you. And, as bad as it hurt and wishing I could have changed, he was too young. But I think that's what, again, goes back to the backbone where I originated in Plains, Texas, old Yoakum County boy and little farm boy. And you start at Spring Lake Earth, and those kids, to this day, I still have contact with those kids, and that means a lot to me.
That's special.
There's not any money can describe. I can remember my first contract was I got $10,000. I thought I was getting rich, man, and I didn't even realize how poor I was.
So you went from Spring Lake Earth. Did you go to Iowa Park from there?
No, sir. I went to Lubbock Estacada and got to coach for Coach Kelly at Estacada. And
so I got some scoop on you. You know who I got the scoop from? Monty Pierce, who is from Plains, but Coach hired him at WImberley.
Yes.
Was that the first?
No, I hired him at Glen Rose first.
Okay, Glen Rose. And then he went to WImberley
with me twice.
But he told me to ask you what Coach Kelly, who was the head coach at Estacada, what your nickname was.
I don't know if I can say that on air or not.
You can say hot nuts.
Hot nuts is what he called me all the time. I was single and young, and I had me a Camaro Berlinetta because the guy wanted this. I had a Bronco that was red and black, and I moved to Lubbock, and there was a guy he was all about the Texas Tech Red Raider, and he paid cash money to get that rig, and I moved, and he took me down to Modern Chevrolet, and they had this Camaro Berlinetta that just came in, and the guy says, "What vehicle do you want?" And being a smart aleck like I was and cocky, I said, "I want that Camaro." And that dude traded me for that Bronco and gave it. So I chased around in those T-tops and tried to date. That's where I there for Coach Kelly. That's what he called me. But, man, he was a great. He offered me a situation that I forever grateful, and he moved. And when I went there, I was going to be the receivers and defensive back coach, and the offensive line coach left and went over to administration out at Roosevelt. Mm-hmm. And so Coach Kelly calls me and said, "Hey," he says, "I need O-line and D-line coach. Can you do it?" And without even thinking or reservation, I said yes. Mm-hmm. The greatest thing that happened to me, because I played quarterback, free safety, all in high school through college, and that's when I learned the game. When you start learning that front up there, where the big boys played, that's where the game's won or lost. That's where you understand the running game. That's where you understand defense from the onset, and that was the greatest thing probably that ever happened to me. It was a great opportunity, and Coach Kelly was a great coach. If you got to ever witness him with kids and how the kids reacted to you, it was just I don't even know how to describe it, but it taught me and gave me, and he, of all people, why he took a chance on me, I really don't know. But
he knew. He saw it.
It was a great outcome. I got to coach in the 1985 All-Star game, which
was that with Estacada?
We had when I was at Estacada, because Coach Kelly was the head coach, and there was a kid on our team named Dante Williams that went on to play at OU and in the NFL, and a little Smurf guy from Midland Lee that was unbelievable.
That was Tyrone Thurman.
Tyrone T. Thurman, and that dude was
he could take some punts to the house.
He was not scared of anything. He went on, and you've seen some guys, and also there were several other guys in that group, but it was because of Coach Kelly I was afforded that and given that opportunity. And he to the day when I got to go to his funeral and see all of those kids back, and his legacy was greater than anything I could imagine. And to think that I was a little bitty guy that got to coach with him.
I think it's easy for guys like me on the outside, growing up watching Estacada on the news and the TV. Everybody that didn't know Coach Kelly and what he was about was, Estacada wins game because talent, which they did have a lot of talent.
Yes, they did.
Coach, how good. I mean, he was off the charts.
Yeah, he was.
You know that. I mean,
his discipline was like, and when he told you something, he told you once. And when he looked at you, sometimes those stares would go right through you like a burning missile. And those kids, when he came into off season, he wasn't always there, but when he walked in, it was serious. And when we were there, the kids worked for us, and we were multi-talented. I mean, there was lots of great kids. But being able to see that and then go understand where you came from Spring Lake Earth and as a head coach and young head coach, I was worried maybe I don't know what I'm doing. But what I got to see is that all of us basically are on the same thing. It's refining that skills and knowing when you walk in that room with your coaches and kids that everybody's on schedule, everybody knows what's going on. And that's what he taught me. And then when he said something, it wasn't no BS.
No question mark behind it, right?
Exactly. And I think that's where I gained so much knowledge and confidence in how to approach a program and how to approach kids, and also to see how the community responded, because he didn't let anybody make a decision. That was his decision, and that's what, as coaches, I always tell you, you got outside influences and you got people that always know, and it's easy to second guess. But when you go into that direction, be confident. And it may not always work out, but be confident and be able to handle that bad side or the good side. You got to learn to deal with both sides, with kids, with parents, with communities. And I think that's what he taught me, was just that big hard line feeling that there ain't no regret.
Yeah.
And there's no regrets, and you do what you do because you think it's the best thing to do. And
yes, sir.
I think that's an ultimate.
So this is a loaded question. What one kid, if you just, I know there's going to be a long lineup, one kid from Estacada that just jumps out?
Well, I think the one kid was Big Mike. We called him Big Mike. His name was Mike Smith. He played offensive tackle and he played defensive tackle, played both ways. The amazing thing about him was he could laugh and then he could get serious. And when you went down to the auditorium for the first time when I got there in the spring semester, they had a choir. And in Estacada, they could sing. Those kids could sing.
Right.
And guess who the big guy, about 6'3", 290? Big Mike. And everybody loved Big Mike. He could sing. He was part of the school. He was part of not just the football players, but about the whole student body. And he was that kid that was a player. He wasn't tall enough that the big schools wanted him. He was very smart. He loved singing. And then in 1986, he was through the shot and discus. We won the state championship in track. And just 2 years ago, that team was inducted into the Lubbock ISD Hall of Honor. And guess who was there? Big Mike.
Big Mike.
And Big Mike still could bellow it out, And I think that's that. And he just took me in, and I'll never forget him. And there was lots of great ones that played there, and very talented. But it seemed like Big Mike kind of resembled the kind of kid that if you said, okay, what is Estacada like, you would have put Big Mike out there.
Yeah, the ultimate matador.
Yes, sir.
That's a great story. When did you take or where was it, your next head job?
The next one, I went to Rotan, and I just got married.
The Yellowhammers.
The old Yellowhammers. I was the head woodpecker, so I didn't have.
My wife asked me the other day, what is a Yellowhammer? Because we were looking at mascots.
Yeah. It's a woodpecker.
It's a woodpecker?
And those that you hear outside in big old trees pecking over and over, them woodpeckers are
okay.
The Yellowhammers. You'll see them, and they're very aggressive, and they don't. You can try to shoot them, you can try to they come back, and they get through that wood. But I think I learned a lot about. I didn't know anything about Rotan. I went there, and then of all things, the girl that I graduated, she was a year ahead of me. She lived there, was a hairstylist, and then her family, and they took me in, and then I had a great bunch of coaches because I took the job in July. I got married in June, took it in July, so it was late. You couldn't, the coaches were there. And I had a great group, and we had a great time. And back in there's when MC Hammer sang Hammer Time, and that's what we developed, the Hammer Time and the Rotan at that time.
There you go.
And
who was a really fast kid you had about my age?
We had a kid named Joe Hewitt that ran 100 meters and went on to San Angelo. And
could fly.
We had a kid named Scooby, Willard Roddy, that could ran the 300s, 100s, and the long jump. And that group goes on to wins the state championship in '88. And I think really in the '88 football season, we lost in the quarterfinals to Lindsay, and it shouldn't have happened. I think we should have been playing White Deer for the state championship that year. But
that was Bart Thomas and Zach Thomas.
Yes, and of course that's the first time I saw him on film playing there. He just transferred from Pampa to White Deer, and man, was he a playing dude.
As a freshman?
Yes, as a freshman. He was ridiculous. But I went to Rotan for 3 years and loved it and had great kids. And when I left, I knew that group they were sophomores was going to be really good. But I had a chance to go down to WImberley in the hill country. And you talking about somebody think they died and gone to heaven, because I'd never seen water and trees before. And so I ended up there, and what a great group of kids and opportunity. And was there for 4 years, and in 1993 we played in the semifinals and lost in the last 3 seconds to Omaha Paul Pewitt, and that hurt. And we would have played Goldthwaite had we won it. And I still tell Prophet today he was lucky, but he was a great coach and they had a great team.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that would have ever come out, but we had a really solid ball club there at WImberley, and it seemed to take the starch out of me getting that close, and who would ever thought I'd gotten that close. And so there I moved to Iowa Park, became the head hawk for 6 years, and I can remember I sat down in a clinic there in Wichita Falls, and I heard that coach. There was a coach from Oklahoma, and he says, "Man, I can tell you one thing. You don't want to go 0-10, but one time, and you won't do it after that." Well, guess what? In 1994, I got that. I came
Oh,
from 13-2 semifinalists, one play away from playing for a state championship, and I got that 0-10, and
Yeah.
I never did it again. So you learn and live, but it was funny how that fit, because at that time, I thought I had the world solved.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I thought I was a coach and guru, and I found out I knew very little. And I had to grow, and then the next 5 years, we made the playoffs there at Iowa Park, and that community treated me really, really well, and was very blessed to have some good kids and played a lot of
Probably
good-
some hard-nosed kids.
Yes, very hard-nosed. Probably some of the best linemen that I ever coached that was those years. So.
Were y'all in there with Vernon and those guys?
Yes, Vernon and Childress and Graham.
Ooh.
It was
Coach
tough.
Johnson.
It was Charlie Johnson, one of the best coaches you'll ever be around.
Oh,
And
I
Leo
know it.
Britton, that was at Vernon, one of the best coaches. And
Some legends.
those guys,
Three legends right there.
Yes, those guys were taught me a lot about the game of football. I can tell you that.
So did you go to Glen Rose from there?
From there, I went to Glen Rose and stayed 2 years. Loved it there. Made the playoffs twice. I don't know how we did it, but
Yeah.
the kids just kept believing. We fought to the end, and we had the first year we had to beat Breckenridge by 14, and there was no way, and we ended up beating them pretty good and advancing, and lost a heartbreaker to Ferris 21-20.
The Yellow
And then
Jackets.
the next year we got in there, we had to beat Springtown, and we were fortunate enough to beat them, and then we went and played Kennedale, who was loaded, and we lost a heartbreaker 22-21.
Ooh.
And so then I was planning on staying in Glen Rose, but WImberley called and wanted me back, and here we go.
I've got to interject something because the coaching profession, sometimes it doesn't matter. You could win a state championship, but once you leave, that's it. That's the end of your chapter in that
That's
town.
true.
That's how good of a guy Coach Weldon Nelms is. He got invited back, and then your career was just starting, basically.
Yeah, we really.
Two state championships later.
We were fortunate. I got to stay there 11 years more, so 15 total, and just
Wow.
had amazing kids, amazing coaches, and the community that bought in. I mean, they just bought in and believed, and it was so fun. In 2005, we played in the state championship at Waco, and I guarantee you there wasn't a person left in Wimberley, Texas. They were all in Waco.
Who'd y'all play that year?
We played Gainesville, who was a very good football team, undefeated team, and we were fortunate enough to come out on top, and then come back in 2006. Really had as good a team we did, and we slipped it up in the quarters that year, and probably poor coaching on my part, or we probably couldn't run it, but. Then we, turn around in 2010 and lose to Cold Spring in the semifinals.
Mm.
And then we go the next year and we get Cold Spring again in 2011. We beat them, and then we fortunate to go play Argyle, who was loaded with the guys. They had that kid that had a quarterback that went on, and he was going to go to TCU, and he ended up going and playing for the Boston Red Sox, played third base, and then they had the kid the big lineman and a receiver that went on to Texas Tech and did great things. And they were loaded, and we were fortunate enough to hold on and win that one. And and that's the first year that it was going to Jerry's World.
I was going to ask
2011, and I mean, I'd never seen anything like it. The locker rooms, the way they treated you and everything. And plus, Argyle had a 45-minute drive to the stadium, and we had 5 hours. And everybody, when the superintendent came to me and says, "Hey, Coach Nelms, probably need to take them down on Thursday night and spend the night, because Friday you played at 5 o'clock in the afternoon." I said, "No, sir, we'll get up early and get us some of them good Meemaw's breakfast, and I want them in their bed, and then we'll drive and eat a pregame in Waco, and then we'll get on in there." I said, "I think that's the best thing." And it fortunately worked out. Had it not, I'm telling you, there would have been probably 200, 300 parents let me know about that bad decision. But it was, awesome. And I feel, like I said, I was so blessed. And the kids that I had, the coaches, the parents, the communities, the administrators that supported me through thick and thin I can't even tell you how grateful I am for that.
I know they feel the same way. Was it 2011 when you won it the second time?
Yes, sir.
That's when I've known Monty since high school, but I stayed in contact. I bet I talked to him at least once a week for selfish reasons, because I was at Shallow Water trying to figure stuff out. And so I stole a bunch of your stuff. You probably knew I did because you never had any secrets, but especially the stop route. I don't know what y'all called it, the 6-yard on the sideline.
Yes, the spot route.
The
yes.
spot route. That was money for y'all.
It was a great route and I learned that from Coach Kelly. That was big part of our sprint game was to hit that spot route, and you got to take that 45-degree step and get to get squared, and you had over the top with a corner and the backside with the drag, and then as people started to adjust in the game, then you had the spot and go, you had the curl and out, you had the different things off of it, but it all just it all started
with the
and
spot.
if you had a 3rd down and 8, then you run the route at 8 yards.
Yeah.
And there were things that you had to incorporate, and we had to do that. We had to, you didn't just do it, you practiced it, and you had to put situational, and I think that's our quarterbacks knew and when we threw that ball, they had to deliver it. It was to the outside. Either we got it or nobody got it. We never going to leave that ball lingering in where you got a pick city or run it back for an interception. So our kids were very well schooled. Monty was a big part of that, and a lot of the coaches, but that was part of the game that I learned from when I was with Coach Kelly, and I think he learned that, and back when he was in college playing at New Mexico State, when that was their go-to back in the older times, and that's the way they taught it. And a lot of people just said out, or a lot of people just said whatever, but there was a specific about that. And you had to run it, and if you didn't, then Coach Nelms was pretty much
gonna get up in you.
Yeah, it was a goat. The goat in me came out because that was a big deal, and we wanted to be able to throw that route any and every time we wanted to.
Well, y'all were good at it.
And it was a big money play in many situations. I can tell you, it bailed us out on a 3rd and 8 or something, or it ended up a missed tackle, and that kid turns it into a touchdown.
Right.
And that was things that's unexpected, but you got to make the first thing happen, and that was one of the big things that we worked daily on that. Just when we'd run what we call our roundabout, we'd throw that route, throw that route to the right, to the left. We wanted them most of my quarterbacks over the years were right-handed, but we had to work just as hard to the left as we did the right, because a lot of time most coaches, the tendency is to be right-handed, so you run the ball on the boundary. So you had the open field back to your left. So you wanted to be, sometimes you really want to be better to the left than you were to the right with that sprint out package.
Would you say y'all's hang your hat on play, running the ball was the lead?
I think probably the best play, I thought, that money play was the trap. When we ran the fullback trap.
Oh, y'all ran it out of the gun better than anybody.
And we didn't care what we'd like to try to, we a lot of times said trap check. If we got a 1 and a 3, we're going to trap the 3.
Right.
We got really good at the fact that we could down that ace or the A-gap player and bring that guard, and we could call it trap backer, or we could call lone trap. And so we got to where we were good at both, and depending upon what their personnel was, that determined what our trap check was that week. So a lot of people would try to, when we come out with a back to the right, they set their 3. Yeah. And then they would shift it. As we started cadence, they'd shift. And we would figure out that guy was coming down, and we'd always go to that other side. And then we'd go same side trap with our back, where we had to, I think the key to that, and again, I'm not an expert by any means, but we always had to teach our quarterbacks had to go to the ball on trap to hand the ball into the line of scrimmage to give our fullback a chance to make that quick cut. He didn't have to be fast. He had to see what that guard, and we had this terminology that we always called, it's real simple, follow the big butt. If the big butt's in the hole, you're up in the hole. If the big butt's on the log, then you were outside. And we call that all the time with our backs and our linemen. We work that drill, follow the big butt, follow the big butt. And I think that taught some average backs into being really good backs because they utilized the big hogs up front. Where their butt was, that's where the hole was. And that was a good thing for us, and we always felt that trap was money. Now, we ran the belly H, belly lead. We ran the buck sweep with, but
a lot of the wing tee to the gun.
It was a wing tee that we just inverted to the gun.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was Larry Hanna taught us all the terminology from
Another
Monty
legend.
came down and taught us that, because when Monty and them had a good grasp of the spread, and Coach Warren and Doug and those guys had a good terminology, but I did not want to change from what we did.
Right.
And being old school and old fashioned and probably anal, I guess, but it transitioned where we didn't have to change our terminology, and the kids adapted much quicker. Now, Monty can tell you that after about the first 7 days of two-a-days, him and Doug were in there like, he's going to change. We're going to go back to wing T because we weren't getting the snap. So
that's the worst feeling in the world.
So we figured out we got to take our centers and our quarterbacks every single day and do the first 5 minutes bad snap drill. And we told them there is no bad snap. And we said it, and we said it, and we said it. And our kids bought into that. And our quarterbacks bought into that. They had to go get it. And if that quarterback took a left step to go get the ball, our back stepped with him. If it was a right, if it was high, he stepped back. And
Genius.
If it was on the ground, he moved forward. And we did that over and over and over till we practiced from the varsity to the JV, and especially in the 7th grade. My gosh, having a center in the 7th grade is
that'll bring out some bad habits in me.
Did. And we had to change to be able to structure to say. And then when as a wing T coach, it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And if we got the 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, we're going to get it.
Yeah.
When we went to the gun with the wing T running game, and we changed our passing game, obviously, to fit the spread kinetics of it, then we said there's not a bad down. Because in the other way, we had to be at 3rd and short.
Yes.
In the gun, I don't care if we was 3rd and 15, we still believe we're going to make a first down.
That's
and
a great point.
Great philosophy that you got to teach. If you're going to do something, you got to go with it. You may not be the best, but your kids have to think you're the best, and that's what you actually brainwash them into thinking that. And, we weren't – our offense wasn't any better than anybody else's. We took ideas and we took it into perspective of what we did best and the execution, but we also took those little things like bad snaps about alignment and things and pressed that as a big issue, and the little things make big things happen.
Oh, man.
And so when I got comfortable with that, we just got better and better and better. And we were also, we could, if we wanted to run NASCAR and go fast, we could go as fast as anybody, or we could slow down and look to the sideline and get a check. And we had to grow to that, though, because kids, especially offensive linemen, when you don't huddle up, they're ants.
It's different.
And those kids have to, you have to see what you're doing with it and believe in it. And that was a hard thing for this old guy, because I was always used to breaking the huddle and center, split in and tight end going, and all that. And it was a change. And those guys had, and Monty and Doug and several of those coaches that throughout my career, they were great at teaching. And they would even, I can remember Coach McDormand, who now is the head coach down there in Granger. He played for me at Glen Rose, and then he coached for me at WImberley, and then coached with me at Weatherford. And the little things he taught our receivers about beating the drum and running, because we were not very fast at Weatherford, and how to get that cornerback to move without movement. And it was just that little drill. And he taught it and worked it, and those things like that, you got to put them on that shelf and make that shelf bigger and bigger to make you a more effective offensive football team, I think.
You brought up a good point. I think Hall of Honor guys like you, Coach, one thing that you just described was how you had to adapt your approach to the game. Not the nuts and bolts of it. That was always the recipe, or the blueprint was always the same, but the drawings might look a little different. That, to me, is the sign of, take our Browse, for instance. I think he's an innovator, a genius. But to be a great coach, you don't necessarily have to have that DNA. I do think one of the biggest qualities you have to have is you have to be adaptable to the game, but also to your players and the talent.
Yes, and I think the number one thing that I've been asked to speak, and I've talked to faculties about this, you got to be willing to change. Change is hard. Moving out of a house to another house.
Hard.
Getting married.
Hard.
The toughest thing that I ever did. I had to pick my underwear up and all those things that that is a big deal. And if you're committed to change and let it work, because it's not going to happen. I mean, Rome wasn't built overnight, and I've said that many times to many football teams. But you got to be willing to commit to change, stay with it, and then adapt. If a kid's not very good at pulling, and he's playing guard, and we like to pull guard, we change it to a center and a tackle.
Yeah.
Fit what fits. And it kind of goes back to what my mom used to teach us. If you're going to cook it, you eat it. And that's the Nelms theory. If she's going to cook it, you're going to eat what was there.
Oh, that's
and
great.
I think that's what coaching is all about, is if you're going to create all these handbooks and the boot camps and all the different things that coaches come up with, I'm not talking bad about them.
Right.
But if you're going to live that and you better cook it, you better eat it. And coaches have to do that, because if you're going to spend that much time putting kids in situations to prove that if you're going to cook it, you better eat it.
That's great advice. Great advice. So you go from WImberley to Weatherford. How many years you've been retired from the sidelines now?
In 2017 was my last year.
Yeah. But like you
and
said,
then,
when we played playoff games, you were running the stadium. You're still very involved.
Still involved. I took 1 year, the 17 year, I kind of took away, and then all of a sudden I did a little bit of turf stuff. I started track meets.
Yeah.
And then that itch was still there, and I kind of felt worthless, kind of sitting at home. And Sims calls me and wants me to meet with the president of the school board and the superintendent. And I was like, what in the world? What, why would
Coach Sims, smart guy. He knew what he was doing.
Great man, a great coach. And so they told me, and I tried to everything. Well, I don't want to have to go in the classroom. I ain't listening to these parents and all those different things that were the irritants. And every time the superintendent said, nope, you don't have to do it, nope. And so they talked me into it a year ago, and it's been the best thing for me. I feel better. I feel younger. I feel involved.
Good for you, Coach.
I'm glad that I'm getting to do it. I don't know that I know anything, but I just feel like sometimes those young coaches, they get up against a wall, and they're looking. And now they've figured out that I'm not there to get rid of them. I'm there to help them, and they fall back, especially probably from the junior high girls, because it's a tough path. They're married. They're thinking about having families, or they're having families. Then they got these little sassy girls that can be, and you have to deal with them. And you don't let it overgrow you. And trying to help them through those situations has been fun to me.
I know they know how lucky they are, but they don't know. 20 years from now, they're going to know even more than they do now. And I know they love you and respect you and appreciate you, but not like they will down the road, I promise you. But they're lucky to have you there. And so, okay, I'm going to interject commercials here and there when I edit this. So do you have a name for I know you're starting track meets this spring. Do you have a name for your company that you start track meets?
It's just
Weldon Nelms, gun show.
Nelms, and it's, take it if you dare, I guess. Or, I've been very lucky on that. I got to start the first ever regional meet there in Springtown, and I've done it every year since.
Really?
They got it again. I'll be doing it again.
There's that Spring Lake Air connection between you and old Hewlett, isn't it?
Yes, and so he asked me, and I'd started Coach Bullion, and I'd started the Tarleton State meet for the regional for long, and it shut down as they built a new track, and they moved it, and I was at the DFW Clement, of all things, and Coach Hewlett asked me, he says, well, hey, and we're going to start having the regional meet, would you be? And I said, well, if Coach Bullion and I can come, one day he starts the girls, I start the boys, and flip it. And now Coach Servetto, since Coach Bullion passed away, Big Bob Bullet,
he's helping you?
Go together.
I didn't know that.
We do district meets, area meet, and regional meets together, and
Bob,
if you go with Bob, you better get ready to laugh. The guy's the most. I've never seen anybody that's more jovial.
He never stops.
He's got more jokes than anybody I've ever seen.
Coach, he never stops.
No, he doesn't.
So he befriended me when he was at Dublin. It wasn't ever in football. It was in the winter and spring sports. We got put in there when I was at Bangs. And I'd just been through all that mess at Brownwood. When I was down and out and trying to find my why, my purpose. And Bob was one of the, for real, he just came into my life at the right time, and he never judged me,
No.
He was just always there to uplift me.
Yeah.
And our district meetings, he would get on a roll.
Yes.
And that's how I got to know Bob Servetto. Does he ever
Yes,
have a bad day?
No, I don't think so. I've talked to his wife, and I've been, and you know, he's so positive, and when you get to hear his life story of where he came from and how he ended up in Stephenville, it's an amazing adventure. And the kids and coaches, just like us, the lives that he's touched, it's larger than you're talking about a guy that's really special, and he always has, I don't care if it's a kid, coach, parent, or whatever, he always has something that's funny but meaningful that catches attention. And
he does. He got a gift.
Amazing. He's got a gift of that, and he's riding with him in the car. Your stitches on your side because it's amazing.
I'm not sure if he has a different approach to humor than you do, but you're one of the funniest guys that I've been around. All of you old guys, you have more of a low key, funny joke kind of guy. Bob's more in your face.
Yes, he is.
But it's all good. So if I was to give a commercial, say you started a track meet and everybody's bidding for the Olympics or whatever, what's 3 or 4 things you're going to tell the people that y'all are bringing to the track meet that makes it a great meet?
Well, I think in any job you do, you take it serious, but you still can laugh at yourself. I found out
great advice.
One of the first time I started a track meet, I'd done pulled the trigger and it popped. And everybody in the whole stadium's like, "What's going on?" And I could have panicked or I could have looked like a fool, but instead I made a joke out of it, and I had to laugh at myself. I'm too stupid to know that you don't pull that trigger until you pull the trigger.
Right.
And then the third thing is that those kids are competing, and you want them to know that you're going to run the race. Everybody's fair, but listen to me. Be serious, because if you're not in charge, kids don't know who's in charge. And if they don't know who's in charge, when the cat's away, the mice play, so to speak. And I think that's in a track meet area, you got to have that man. And
that's a challenge to have that too. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just that whoever you work for, if it's an invitational meet, you always make sure that whoever that director is, what they want. If they don't want scratches, they don't want to pull anybody out, or so that everybody knows the fair playing field. At the same time, you always try to be a gentleman and visit with kids, because they come across that line and they hadn't won, or they come across and they're excited.
There's some emotions involved.
There's emotions, and sometimes those emotions lead over to that starter. Yeah. And I think as a starter, you have to sometimes separate some of those things and put it in perspective. And I think that's, for the most part, I think those are the things that Coach Jackie Bullion taught me as a young starter about it, because I think sometimes I was too quick with the gun, or my reflections in starting, and now I've gained, whether it's a fake confidence or whatever, I can go out and do it with my eyes closed, because I've done it, and I know what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do, and then the expectation of people that hire you to do it, then you better do them a good job.
That's why every weekend and every track meet is booked up with Coach Nelms, because everybody trusts you and you're going to do a great job. One of the greatest things you can attend is a well-ran track meet where kids are competing. One of the worst things you can be a part of as a coach is a bad coach. It could last 10 hours.
Yes, and people when it's unorganized and people are there to watch their kids, and they've already, especially when parents that have a distance kid, for example, they start at the 3,200 and they end their day at the 1,600, and it's unorganized, and then all of a sudden it comes to a time constraint, and guess where all the coaches always want to cut out? 1,600. Wait a minute. Yeah. That kid's waited all day to run.
All day. That's a great point.
So I think that I've learned in that pattern, you may have to clump, and we do that a lot of times. We put a ribbon on the 7th grade girls or the 7th grade boys, or however we do it, so that we use time wisely and to catch up. But don't let them not compete after they've been there all day.
I'm going to try to sign a package deal while I got you here because I'm going for the dollar signs right here, Coach. If you start a track meet, I'm going to have a crew run the concession. Junior high track meets, that's all I want. The concession stand.
Yes.
You give those junior high kids $20, they going to spend $20.
They're going to spend not $19.99. They're going to spend 20 cents and look if they can get one piece of gum more. That's in junior high. That's the concession you want.
Yes.
High school, you have different kids with different things. But if you in junior high track meet, every kid is going to spend every penny that mom and dad or whomever is giving them.
I wished I could come up with a business to where you go into junior high track meet because some schools have a lot of volunteers, but they're getting harder and harder to find. Yes. And go in, maybe like these stadiums, these D1 stadiums, contracted out. We run the concession stand. Y'all get a cut. We supply all the labor and the food. I think it's a gold mine.
I do too, and I think that if more stadiums would go to that and get one person, just one, because if the thing about concessions, you get
too many hands,
too many chiefs, and not enough Indians. It always ends up in a quarrel.
Yeah.
And I found out over the many years, if you can find one person that'll take that charge, and it's worth putting a stipend or a booster club paying somebody.
Yes,
it's well worth it.
Well worth it.
And then of course, as everybody nowadays in common terms, everybody has a credit card. Everybody has a debit card.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're going to run them, find a machine.
Got to have that tap.
Yes, and tap and go. Make where the kids don't have to collect money, where you don't have to worry about.
No cash.
You don't have to worry about people
sticky
putting money
fingers
in their pocket. Let them do it. It runs its course. It pays better dividends. You don't worry about that insecurity. Be my total advice to that. But I wished I was smart enough to know how to do it because I think that'd be the best money.
I do.
Around.
Like for us here at Brentwood Christian, we don't have a track on our facility, so we go twice a week to Coach Cheatham over in Round Rock lets us go to a middle school track. But there's so many opportunities out there because a lot of people don't know how to run a track meet. It's a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
But it's worth it. If you get somebody who knows what they're doing and if you don't have the starter, that's how important it is. If you have the wrong starter that takes 3 minutes in between a heat and it's the 100-meter dash, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, it is. If you don't have a starting mechanism that understands the urgency of getting that white flag back up or whistle or whatever it is going,
that's what I like being.
If I get a guy that does that, and I just started that district track meet for junior high at WImberley, and that guy, and then the next day the Texan relays, and those guys, they know, and I know. Okay, when do some guys want to wait till you get thumbs up, but he comes over and tells me on the 400 meter, don't wait for me as soon as you get them lined up, because you know as well as I do, some kids it's going to take them forever to get in the block. You as a starter, you have to make that demand too. You got one run out and get your blocks and then stand behind them. If a starter doesn't do that, those kids will go 4 or 5 times out of those blocks.
Oh yeah.
So you have to initiate that.
Those little junior high aliens.
Oh, in the junior high, it's like chasing cats. One might be the other day I started one and the kid has the blocks going the wrong way. I have another girl that thinks that as soon as I say set, she's 3 steps down the track. You still have to confine that. And again, that goes back to controlling it. You can't just walk away and say, oh, well, that's junior high kids. They still got to learn like you did.
Yes.
And so
it's a great teaching moment.
It's a teaching moment of understanding and like utilizing the blocks or stand-up start or whatever it may be. It still has a rim of challenge and a rim of teaching. And you've got to be a teacher as well. You're not just a starter. You don't say, I shot the gun. Oh, well. It's got to be more than that.
Right.
Because if a track is going to continue to be successful with track, you got to be teaching track.
Yes,
Coaches
sir.
got to coach track. And
yes.
That's one thing I tell the junior high guys. We're coaching track. We're not showing up just for an afternoon workout. We're coaching track. If you're the jumpers coach, you find out. If you're the distance coach, you find out. And that's important. And same thing in football. If an offensive line coach doesn't know and he's just biding his time when he's on Indy, I don't like that.
No.
I want him to utilize every second of whatever drill or whatever play calling or whatever, and I want that guy doing that. And,
yes, sir.
So that's I think that's important.
Yes, sir. This has been a great. We're probably about to wrap it up. I want to ask you some random questions that I ask people, and I apologize. My tradition is to bring a good dessert. You said cookies, any kind of cookie, right?
Oh, any kind of cookie.
I'll send you a card through the mail for a my favorite is crumble cookies.
I like them too. Cookies are kind of, they adopt to me pretty good.
But, okay, do you have a favorite college team that you've rooted for?
I have always kind of been a mixture of Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Yeah.
And now that Joy's there and we're friends, I'm big
Yeah.
Texas Tech Red Raider.
Yes, sir.
I always loved the Texas teams. So any kind, I liked, I like TCU, I like Texas, and I like A&M. I like, anybody from Texas is good. I guess really and truly, though, Hardin-Simmons is kind of my team because Coach Whitehead, coach under me, is the offensive coordinator, and Jesse Burleson is a great coach with kids that want to play. I mean, they want to play Division III. No,
they're not getting paid.
They're not getting NIL. They're just good kids, and I go back and talk and go back and see them play. To me, it means, and trust me, I went to the Big 12 championship. I was right up there hollering with everybody for Texas Tech and BYU, but going to Hardin-Simmons where the kids and the parents appreciate the small time.
They have a love for the game.
Yes, and that's what I love.
Yes, that's a great point and they got it going on right now.
They do.
Conference championship, right?
3 in a row.
3 in a row.
And I wouldn't be they may be better this next year than they've been in the last 3 years.
Good for them. Whitehead helped me with a lot of stuff on the offensive side of the ball back in the day. He's been there forever.
Been there, and probably it wouldn't surprise me to see him be the next head coach.
Oh,
Jesse steps down.
That'd be great. He's earned that, right?
Yes, sir.
I hope they do that. All right, if you go out, favorite restaurant to eat at. Do you have a favorite?
Ooh, I love them all. You know what I really like, and my grandkids kind of got me onto this, is Japanese steakhouse. I love to go
like
in that hibachi where they
hibachi grill.
They have that hibachi and that fried rice and all those veggies and that steak and shrimp. That's my. If you said where are you going to take me right now, that's where I'd say we'd go.
Oh my! Shoot, if we had one close, I'd take you. Those are good.
That's probably my extreme good.
Right.
A good steak, chicken fried steak, Mexican food.
Oh yeah. You can probably get that in Plains back in the day. A good chicken fry or a enchilada plate.
Oh yeah.
Leo's up in Millshoe.
Oh man,
it's still the best. I think.
Best, yes.
I think so, Coach.
And they try to create one in Lubbock, and it still can't compete. But the Leo's, the original Leo's there in Millshoe, is hard to beat.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
Mercado Juarez in Fort Worth. Have you ever eaten there?
No.
You go there and you may change for what
really?
you want. Yes.
It's battling for number one?
Yeah, it's battling, and it's plenty good and has probably the best chips and salsa and margaritas that you ever had. It's
my middle daughter's a nurse at Cook's Children's Hospital. Her and her husband live in downtown Fort Worth, so
they need to go.
I'm gonna remember that. Yeah. We may go up there for Easter anyway.
Yep.
Any words of wisdom that I skipped over? You hit so many good points. So I can edit this out too. But there's one thing Coach Pierce said to ask you about Bullfrog.
Bullfrog was something that Coach Mancini taught me when I was at Western New Mexico, played. And every program up till the point of after the first couple of years at Weatherford, I had to cut it out because kids they didn't get it and didn't do the effect. But when I called Bullfrog, it was live. Everything above the waist, in front, no cheap shots, it was full speed. And the reason I taught that was the same thing that you would teach anybody in life. You always ready for the unknown. And as a football player, because if somebody may come take a cheap shot, or it may be a big play of tackle, a kid breaks a tackle or stand on a block, then I wanted that sudden burst. And as soon as I called Bullfrog and as soon as I blew the whistle, it was done. Not any other coach could call it, but it was live, and it was only for me. And the one time that I know what Coach Pierce is reflecting to, we're playing a big game in a district game, and the team come down the end zone, trotting down there, singing some little deal, and eyeballing my kids.
Oh, don't do that.
And immediately I called Bullfrog, and our kids went to going, and Dad, it boom, boom, boom. You could hear it it sounded like 22s going off the shell, and that other team got to midfield and turned to look, and I knew right then. I said, "Boys, we got them."
Yeah, I had them.
And we commenced to put a butt whooping.
Opened a can of whoop.
That can of whoop, and it was all over but the crying. That's we did that in the smaller school. It was even better because the kids, and even in junior high, it wasn't bull in the ring where you tried to take advantage of a guy. Instead, it was open, and when I blew it, usually it was when close quarters, not deep quarters.
Right.
And then you found out the ones that would jump on the ground and shy, and then the ones that would.
Man, I've never heard that. That's genius.
But that was Coach Mancini's that taught us that at Western New Mexico.
Mancini.
It was live when he said it. He might not say it very often.
Yeah.
But when he said it, it was live. And if two kids that been arguing and kind of punching and pushing, they need to settle something real quick, but it got it settled. And we went on about business. So that was something I did. Like I said, when I went to Weatherford, the kids just were, they cowered down to it. They didn't. And a kid got hurt because he got pushed in the back. And
of
when
course.
that happened, of course, it brought up, and then why I was doing it. And so and just to forego the sensation of bringing that program, and the kids didn't regime to it. Everywhere else, they loved it.
Right.
At Spring Lake Earth, at Rotan, at Wimberley, at Glen Rose, at Iowa Park. Those kids can tell you could go nearly any kid and ask them what Bullfrog meant, and they immediately would tell you. But that was.
I can't believe I've never heard this story because that's got to be common knowledge. That's great stuff.
I think the only time that I remember that Coach Warren, Steve Warren, Abilene, when I spoke at that regional meeting, he brought it up that Coach Posey told me, and I told about it. And as soon as I got off the podium and went out there, everybody wanted to know about it. And I told them, the full story. And but it came, Coach Mancini did that to us at Western Mexico, and it was
the guy that never ages.
No, 88 years old last week. And we still go. He and I go to Redosa and his wife, and we have vacation and stay. We talk every single week. And,
that's awesome. He's another guy that's just always seemed positive.
Oh yes, he was
upbeat,
and he just don't age. And, and he loves football, and he loves kids, and he loves people, and he's a people's person all the way. And he came along in my life when I was I just played my junior year, and the coach left, and he came in. I'm sitting on the steps up. I can remember right in front of the dressing room, weight room, and here he comes, and me and my roommate were sitting there, and he looked at us. You two aren't going anywhere. You're playing for me, and we were considering going back somewhere in Texas at that time. Both he grew up in Fort Stockton, I grew up in Plains, and
both
Mancini,
desert climates.
Oh yeah, the sand and the whole 9 yards.
I know our time's about to wrap up. We'll have to do this again because you have too many stories and to get into one episode. This is what I envisioned this podcast being, Coach. Cutting it up on the back porch, not in the coach's office necessarily, but getting great wisdom and insight to the game of football and your journey and what you've been through. I said it in the beginning, you're at the pinnacle right now of getting inducted into the Texas Coaches Football Hall of Fame, THSCA Hall of Honor. Hall of Honor. And I'm going to be there in H-Town, right?
I was kind of hoping it would have been in San Antonio. Mom's an assisted living there, but would have never thought that I'd even be.
I think you're going to be surprised how many people show up in your honor on your behalf. I'm so happy for you, and thank you for being a mentor to me. I know you have mentors like Coach McAdams, a male that I talk to every other day, and then you have mentors in your life like you are to me, where state track meet or playoff game in Weatherford, and you're always just a great guy. You're friendly to people, and that's what I loved about Mel. He would treat the janitor just like he was the assistant head coach. He treated everybody the same. You're out of that same mold. So I appreciate your friendship.
I don't know that I'm that far like Mel. Mel was, there wasn't nobody that didn't know him, but he's just one of the, when I found out that he was sick, it just broke my heart.
Yeah, well, we called and we talked over the phone about it.
Yeah, there's too many guys that are still in this world that weren't as effective as him, and I guess the good Lord just needed him up there because
yes, sir.
I'd met him seen him at Red Osa because that was my family's path of vacation.
Right.
Red Osa, and Mel was
Us
always
too.
up there.
Yeah.
And then
the racetrack.
And then when I went to Iowa Park, and he was at Burleson. He come from Forney to Burleson. Then he ran the wing tee. I ran the wing tee, and we sat and talked one night. And both of us are about to fall out of the chair. And
y'all probably spent an hour on trap.
Yes,
he was a big trap guy.
Yes, and just all the different things, and in between that, people would come by and he talked to everybody knew him, and everybody. It was just.
You're in the
was one
same
of those
boat.
guys that everybody loved him.
I'll say the best nickname, and then I'll shut up and we'll tag out. But the best nickname, I think, you've had a lot of good nicknames for coaches, but John Catrucci,
Worldwide John. Yeah, I know.
It made me think of him when you said Bell knew everybody.
Yeah.
I think John has him beat.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, John never seen a stranger in his life.
That's very true.
John, I hate to see him get out of coaching, but
I do too.
He's got two boys right now that are going to be.
They're going to be men.
And probably play, but even they don't really understand how his dad was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's the same one day as he is the next. He's just not going to change.
Yeah, that's very true.
And but Worldwide John's always.
I'm gonna get him on the show.
Yeah, me too.
And I talk to him about every other week because he still has coaching in his blood. But he likes, and I would too, talk about his boys. Every time he brings them up, I said, they're going to overcome their DNA. No. If Coach McQueen at Temple would have had his boys instead of him.
Yeah.
But
yes. He's a good ball coach. And
yes, sir.
Those kids, he's raised them right. And his wife is she's a great person and a great athlete. But all those guys they've been very special to me. Been grateful. Like I said, I've been surrounded by so many good coaches, good friends like yourself that if you ask me coming, there'd probably be some guys that I might not even consider, but when you ask me,
I appreciate it so much.
Glad that given the opportunity, probably everybody will throw it in the trash. I wouldn't blame them.
No, this is going to platinum right here in this episode, Coach. I know you got to run. I appreciate your time, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and just keep on rolling. That's
yes, sir. We keep on keeping on. I had a sign off. You know what they say? It's kind of corny, and then my guest would say, "What's that?" And I say, if you're going to be kicking it, might as well be kicking it to the max.
That's right. That's right.
Sun is
Thanks,
down,
Coach.
the lights are bright, getting my fix on a Friday.